Have you ever heard an absolutely killer electric guitar riff or solo that just totally blew your mind? Or maybe not blew your mind, but you thought it was awesome. Maybe it was Jimi Hendrix or someone like Eddie Van Halen, whatever it was that caught your ear. It probably had that loud, powerful, electrifying sound that feels almost larger than life at times. But what's interesting is that all that noise and energy, the sound, the process that creates that sound is actually quite simple, but very cool at the same time. Now, over the past 10 years or so, I've spent countless hours messing around with different guitars, pedals, and amplifiers, and of all different kinds. But researching these things and learning how they work has led me to have a deeper appreciation for the instrument itself, and I find it very cool how it all works. So today I want to break down for you guys how an electric guitar actually produces those awesome sounds that we hear in music that we listen to. And we're going to be looking at three main steps for that. Firstly, the guitar strings creating vibrations, then the pickups taking those vibrations and turning it into an electrical signal, and finally the amplifier boosting that signal into the sounds that we end up hearing in songs. So let's start with the most basic part, the guitar strings. When you pluck a guitar string, it vibrates back and forth really fast, and that vibration occurs at a specific frequency, and depending on the frequency, that is what creates the pitch that you hear, the different notes. And whether it's a low note or a high note, that's determined by the thickness of the string. Thicker strings vibrate differently than thinner ones, which is why they sound deeper or heavier, and thinner strings produce higher pitch sounds. And the material of the string changes how strong the vibration is. So right from the beginning, the physical properties of the strings are what creates the initially creates the and shapes the sound of the guitar. But the thing is, strings vibrating on their own don't sound that cool. So I'm going to be using my guitar here as my presentation aid for this speech to help you really visualize and understand each step of the process. So listen here. Like, there's sound coming out of that, but it's really quiet. That's not very cool. So we need a way to capture that motion of the strings and turn it into something that we can work with. And that's where these pickups come in. These that sit right underneath the strings contain magnets, and those magnets are wrapped in copper wiring. So when a metal string vibrates above these magnets, it causes a disruption in the magnetic field. And that disturbance in the electromagnetic field creates a tiny electrical current in the wire that's wrapped around the magnets. And this is what's known as electromagnetic induction. Sounds very complicated and sciencey, but it's really just physics working normally. So that tiny electrical current is the guitar's electrical signal, but it's not loud yet. It just contains all of the information about the note that you've just played, the pitch, the strength, the tone, volume, etc. So now that we have a signal to work with, we need to turn it into actual sound somehow. That's where this amplifier comes into the equation. So the sound travels from the strings vibrating into the pickups. The pickups transport it to this long cable here, and that electrical signal runs all the way through this cable into the amplifier. Now inside that amp, electronic circuits, you can see some of what's going on in the back here. They boost that electrical signal until it's strong enough to drive a speaker. The speaker then converts that electrical signal back into physical sound waves. It's pushing air out of the speaker at a certain sound, which our ears then capture, and we can hear it now. So this amplifier is also where a lot of your guitar playing's character is going to come from. You can make it sound clean and bright, or gritty and heavier and more distorted, depending on what you do with the amplifier. It's all manipulations of electromagnetic energy that causes different sounds to come out. So this amp is what takes that tiny electrical signal and turns it in to that full guitar tone, and then you end up with some cool stuff like this. Yeah. So, to sum everything up, electric guitars make sound through a very simple but really cool chain reaction and conversions of energy. Starts out with the strings, physical energy of vibration transformed into electrical energy from the pickups, transported into the amplifier, which then converts that electrical signal back into physical sound waves, creating that awesome electric guitar sound. So the next time you hear an awesome guitar solo or someone playing a guitar, you'll know a little bit more about how that all works, and you'll know that all that awesome noise and music that you hear starts as just a little metal string shaking back and forth. So yeah, that's all.